What is the aspiration of India? Aspiration of India is to become a developed economy by 2047. First 20 years, we had 5 million customers. Next 20 years, we had 24 million customers. Maruti today is synonymous with a success. This is a result of 40 years of customer obsession.
Our next speaker is someone who has a reputation for being incredibly approachable, mentoring several up-and-coming innovators. Mr. C.V. Raman is a mechanical engineer who joined Maruti Suzuki in 1984. He spent years building India's supplier ecosystem, helping local vendors upgrade their quality and technology through global partnerships. In 2001, he transformed Maruti Suzuki into Suzuki's R&D hub outside Japan. Under his leadership, the company launched several successful models, including Vitara Brezza, and built a state-of-the-art R&D center in Rohtak. He served as CTO until March 2024. Today, Mr. C.V. Raman is on the Maruti Suzuki's executive committee, and he actively serves as the president of SAE India, chairman of SIAM's Emission and Conservation Committee, and holds the board position across multiple automotive companies. Sir, I'd like to welcome you on stage. To a big round of applause, please. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. And first of all, thanks to Shreya's-san, Martin-san, Mr. Shubulal for having invited me here once again for this summit. It's very happy to be and privileged to be part of this once again. Jan made a fantastic presentation, leveraging what India can do, and I been told to speak about Maruti Suzuki story, last 40 years what we did. But I also thought that what we have done is one part of the story which I would like to cover, but I would also like to cover what could actually be scaled up and what is imperative of India going forward. So next starts now, sustain and scale. I think that's the theme of the conference. This is something which is a very proud moment for Maruti Suzuki. In August, we launched our first battery electric vehicle, the e-Vitara, and this is commemorated by our Honorable Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi ji.
भारत की ऑटो इंडस्ट्री करीब 12% की ग्रोथ से आगे बढ़ी। मेक इन इंडिया, मेक फॉर द वर्ल्ड के मंत्र पर चलते हुए अब एक्सपोर्ट भी बढ़ रहा है।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi's vision of Make in India for the world is driving a new era of economic prosperity. Inspired by this vision, Suzuki Motor Corporation has chosen India as its global manufacturing hub for the new battery electric vehicle. Suzuki Japan made Gujarat its Karm Bhumi in 2012, during the tenure of Shri Modi as the Chief Minister. Today, the same plant is set to manufacture the all-new e-Vitara. Unveiled at the Bharat Mobility Global Expo by the Honorable Prime Minister and built on a dedicated EV platform, with exports planned to over 100 countries, reinforcing India's forex reserves and reducing its reliance on oil imports.
So Maruti is a name which is synonymous with success, and it's something which everybody idolizes. So recently, Mr. Jindal, head of MG Motors, he said that for new energy vehicles, we'd like to have a Maruti moment. Piyush Bansal of Lenskart also said that Maruti Suzuki all-time model for new business in India. And very recently, the Secretary of Shipping said that tides are turning for a Maruti moment. I think Maruti today is synonymous with success. So this success has not been an overnight success. Okay, this is a result of 40 years. 40 years of customer obsession. 40 years of co-creating and setting up a ecosystem with partners. Unending focus towards quality and reliability, and reinvesting in business for capacity building, including plant, for manpower, for skilling, and so on. And now let's have a look at how this journey happened for Maruti Suzuki. So we started with very humble beginnings, 1983. Okay, at that point of time, 2 car makers were there, the Fiat as well as the Ambassador. 40,000 was the total capacity of the industry at that point of time. And Maruti was given a license for making 100,000 vehicles at that point of time. When we started, and I started in Maruti, we were making 30 cars per day. Okay, so just remember this number. And so, over a period of time today, we are, as an industry, we are at about 4.2 million, and Maruti has a 40+% share, and we are at about 2 million vehicles every year, which we are. So, in the first 20 years, what did we do? We were trying to build self-reliance. Maruti Suzuki started up as a startup. It was a company which was having no experience of automobile manufacturing. People came from public sector and from various other industries. Very few people from Eicher or Tata Motors at that point of time, or Escorts or Eicher. Those are people who came in and started this company. But it was backed by Suzuki's technology, manufacturing technology, as well as product technology. And we established our products with M800, Omni, Esteem, and the Zen, okay, in the first 20 years. Our key point at that point of, in the first 20 years was setting up of a quality system, setting up of production system, setting up targets for productivity, okay, and building the local supplier ecosystem. But as you know, in every car company, most of the parts are bought from suppliers, okay, and very much 15-20% is only what is done in-house. So we had to set up this ecosystem with quality systems which were to meet the exacting Suzuki standards. The second thing was making sure that we were available to the customer. Okay, at that point of time, it was all about distribution. In the first initial 10 to 15 years, we were just distributing cars. Okay, there was no competition. Competition came up sometime in '95 once the liberalization happened, and so our endeavor at that point of time was to have touch points across India. Even at that point of time, even though it was a producer-driven market, our point was that we should be able to service the customer at any point, at anywhere in India. We also set up at that point of time a 24/7 roadside assistance. And so Maruti Suzuki had touch points across India. We also enhanced at that point of time customer engagement. We started True Value. Okay, we started Maruti Finance. We started insurance as adjacent business revenue streams for our dealerships. The next 20 years was about how did we build our market share in the competitive environment, because post '95, all the global manufacturers were available in India, and we had to set up and scale up our ability to meet the increased market or the customer requirement at that point of time. In the first 20 years, it was about two-wheeler people going up to a four-wheeler, one car per family. Okay, post 2010, it was about multiple cars in a family, and so we had to increase our number of brands which we had to introduce in our product portfolio. For doing that, we also had to develop our own capability in India to deliver products for the Indian market. So we set up our R&D center and also in Rohtak, and so we scaled that up to be able to develop products, and Vitara Brezza was one of the first products, and thereafter we have had multiple products, and now I'm very proud to say that some of these products, like the Francs, are exported back to Japan. And we also launched a premium Nexa channel in 2015, and we also scaled up our production capacity. We have seen, we just showed in the video that Gujarat plant was set up in 2012. Very recently, okay, we have started another plant in Kharkhoda in Haryana, and where we are going to set up a capacity of 1 million. Okay, we believe that by 2030, the Indian market will grow to about 6 million. So just coming back, first 20 years, we had 5 million customers. Next 20 years, we had 24 million customers. Okay? So cumulatively, today, we have about 30 million customers. 3 million of the vehicles have been exported worldwide. We have 10,000 sales and service network, 2,800 cities presence, and very recently, Maruti Suzuki has been also, in terms of market cap, is in the top 10 companies. And so we're the 8th most valuable car maker globally. So what are the learnings which we have from these, from these 40 years? Our understanding of the customer was very, very important. We had to understand the customer needs. We had to also predict the technology shifts which are happening. In the last 40 years, we have seen that the technology has changed from a carburetor technology to multi-point fuel injection, now towards hybrid and electrification. So we have been able to see that shift in technology and the need of the aspiration of Indian customer and meet that requirement. Second, reinvesting profits for building capacity. We have been continuously increasing our capacity for manufacturing, also capability for developing and designing products in India. So this is the second thing. Third is building up a customer-centric ecosystem, okay, with sales and service network points across India. Fourthly, being able to do a supplier ecosystem to enable self-sufficiency. In the first 20 years, we were, at that point of time, foreign exchange was always a challenge. And, we had licenses. And if you had to import parts, and which is a large portion of the material cost, the production was limited. So therefore, we had no option but to develop an ecosystem for self-sufficiency. And we have been hand-holding our supplier base over the years with technical collaboration across the globe, also joint ventures, setting them up, investing in joint ventures. We have done a lot of that. And so therefore, we were able to develop a supplier ecosystem to make this self-sufficiency as a goal. And lastly, continuous productivity improvement, operational efficiency, and product quality and reliability. We are known for that as a reliable and a quality, products with quality, having no issues in the market. And so that's our, we have been always pushing the pedal for quality. And for that also, we have been having a lot of hand-holding to our customer base, to our supplier base, to be able to meet that requirement. So these are some of the learnings from our journey. But now I'll try to talk about something for what is today's theme for that sustain and scale, and the next starts now. Okay, so that's what we are all here for. So what has brought us here may not take us forward. So I will now talk about what is the aspiration of India. Aspiration of India is to become a developed economy by 2047. Okay? And what we are looking for is that from today's $4.3 trillion, we want to become an economy which is going to be about $30 trillion. Okay? We also have an ambitious target of 2070 net zero, even though the world has 2050 as a target, but India has taken 2070 as a target. We also have very ambitious plans for renewable energy and so on. So to achieve this ambitious target of Viksit Bharat, we need to change our approach. And the approach is that we need to change from our linear thinking to exponential thinking. And I'll just explain that in context of mobility in the next slide. So if it is to be $30 trillion, we have to grow 7 times in the next 20 years. We have seen what has happened in the last 40 years. Okay? Now we are seeing that in the next 20 years, the economy has to grow to $30 trillion, which is 7 times. Currently, our manufacturing, okay, is about 15% of our GDP. 50% of the manufacturing GDP is coming from the auto industry. Okay? So, in Viksit Bharat, our target is to have 25% of the GDP as manufacturing. If 50% of that has to be automobile, okay, so that means that the auto sector or the mobility sector, I'll say, has to grow by about 16 times to $4 trillion. Okay? So that's the scale which we are wanting to talk about. Okay? And so by 2047, the contribution of the auto sector is going to be today's GDP of India. So that's the kind of scale is what we are talking about. And so that will propel our economy and GDP per capita, okay, per capita GDP will grow from about $3,000 to a developed nation's per capita of about $15,000. So if you have to be Viksit Bharat, that's the kind of scale which we are now talking about. Mobility will grow, and we're talking about not just two-wheeler, three-wheeler, four-wheeler, buses, rail, metro. Mobility will grow 5 times if we have to meet this requirement of growing by 16 times. And this is a Niti Aayog document which says that you need to grow by 5x times, and this is in terms of BPKMS, okay, billion passenger kilometers. So aspirations will make mobility grow, because as Jan also said, that people want freedom to move, and we saw that Harley Davidson clip, very inspirational. People want to move. Mobility gives freedom, but we also have a very strong target of 2070 carbon neutrality. So carbon neutrality, I believe, will drive multiple technology pathways and use of clean energy sources, because 5x increase in mobility is going to grow the demand of energy going forward. So how do we do this sustainably is going to be one of the key targets. And I believe it's not just about electrification, it's also about biofuels, CBG, CNG, and so on, which also are local energy sources which are available, which have a lower carbon footprint, which in the interim can help us grow help us to grow and meet these targets in the next 20 years. So, what is the need? We need to change our outlook, and if you have to look at and tap the future opportunities, opportunities are very, very clear. We have to grow 16 times as far as the mobility is concerned, and we want to be a developed economy, and that's the aspiration of India. So, what is growing this? Growth is coming from the, the demographic dividend of India. Okay? We are having a significant population which is across various generations, from baby boomers to Gen Alpha, and maybe in future in the next will be Gen Beta. And India has to, has this advantage. But also there is a need of meeting the customer requirements across these, age segments, because each has a different way of looking. And so it's possible that tomorrow ownership will change to usership. And that's a kind of change in business models which are likely to take place, as we are seeing in the way in which the young customer today is viewing the consumerism. Second is about sustainable growth. I believe that sustainability is about environment, of course, because we want to reduce the pollution, we want to reduce the greenhouse gases, but we also need to take care about society. We need to make sure health, security, equality, and progress are important. And lastly, economic has to be kept in mind, because we need to have sustained value creation and business growth for all. And it has to move all together. And so that's very, very key importance, that we have to balance all these requirements and not just run towards one direction. So what is the carbon neutrality focus? Jan also mentioned about 14%. Automobile industry in India is about 13% as far as the greenhouse gas is concerned. So we need to take care of this, and we need to grow responsibly so that we can meet our net zero emission by 2070. When we are talking about sustenance and scale, we also need to look at that what is the complexity today which we are looking at in the next 20 years. There is a change which we are seeing, in which the technology is evolving. We have seen in the last 40 years evolution of technology. In the next 10 years, next 20 years, technology is going to evolve. And it's all about connected and in-cabin monitoring and so on and so forth. And software is going to become one large portion of the automobile manufacturing. And we are talking about software-defined vehicles and so on. That's first. Second is that we have to scale. And when we are talking about 16 times of growth of mobility, just imagine the kind of scale which one needs to look at if we have to grow our manufacturing. When we look at that, it's not just about building factories, but it's also about making sure that you have products which can fill these factories. So you need to have agile development. Okay? And we are now, in India, we are still at about 38 months, 40 months product cycle, product life cycle, product development cycle. Okay? China is today at about 20 months product development cycle. So that's the gap which we are, which we need to fill. And how do we scale up our capability going forward is going to be key. And lastly, that when we talk about scale and we talk about 16 times, we're not addressing just India. India, and in my next slide, I'll be talking about that. But, India today, we are addressing 400 million, households. Okay? But we are a population of 1.5 billion. How do we meet the requirement of the next billion is something which we all need to look at. And when we are looking at that, we also need to look at the export market. The world is the market. And if you have to be growing at the GDP rate which we are looking at, you need to address and be able to be competitive in the world and develop products which are relevant for those future customer needs. Because today's customer, whether in India or anywhere else in the world, is having a very, very similar kind of outlook. So how can we develop products which are, which are going to meet that future requirement? So we have challenges of today. We are having a target that we want to be $30 trillion. Four-wheeler mobility is today addressing about one-third of the population. And we are also dependent a lot on critical raw materials and next-gen technology development. A lot of this technology development is happening outside. Even though a lot of GCCs are doing a lot of work in India, but overall the technology development is happening outside. So, as I said, we need to develop, okay? If we have to meet the aspiration of the next, we have to build products beyond the Indian geography, okay? And by making products of global standards. We need to address the next billion on democratizing mobility for India. And we need to be self-reliant in energy, materials, manufacturing, as well as technology. So all-round efforts are required to realize this 2047 dream. So the Prime Minister in 2018, in the MOVE Summit had mentioned these, which are still relevant, which are 7C mantra for mobility, which is common, connected, convenient, charged, clean, congestion-free, and cutting edge. And this is something which today also holds and is going to hold for future also. This 7C mantra is very, very key in growth of our development. So, Jan talked about, some solutions and private mobility, and I like that, private mobility as well as, public mobility and, the requirements, how they are changing. But one metric I'd like to give here, that public mobility today in India is about 18%. And in developed countries, it's roughly about more than 30, in Japan it's about 32%. And in the other developing countries also it is more than 30%. So there is I believe that there is a need for an integrated mobility solution which is common, connected, and convenient. And we should be able to integrate all these modes of transport in some way, and some of the solutions which Jan talked about can be applied. And one of the applications which we are seeing today is in Mumbai One, which is a one app, where you can conveniently move from one place to the other. It gives you solution how to go about from place A to place B. Another parallel is in Japan. You have a Suica card where this can be used in any public transport. And if you can actually key in a destination and you can reach on the dot on the time by using various means of mobility solutions which are available. And so I believe that in future, because if we have to grow 5x, it's impossible. It will not be sustainable. We have to find other mobility solutions. And I believe that automakers will become mobility solution providers of future. And so future India requires more smart cities. We have 100 smart cities where work is happening, where integrated mobility platforms are going to provide multimodal mobility solutions for people of India. Second is that if we have to grow, and we talk about scale, okay, scale up of manufacturing. Where is China today and where we are today? And we have to achieve that. If we have to reach that, if we have to, achieve that ambition and aspiration which we have got, we have to move into the third quadrant next to China. And so therefore, we have to become a manufacturing hub of the world if we have to achieve those GDP numbers and the mobility solution requirements which we are talking about. We, of course, require collaboration. And this is something which we always talk about, co-creation for technology leadership. We talk about academia, industry, government participation in various ways. Recently, I think the new education policy has helped. It is allowing certain enablement for experiential learning for faculty as well as engineers, where they can actually work in industry while pursuing their courses. Second thing is, I also believe that we are vertically we have mechanical, electrical, and all of that in our academia. But That's, those are all siloed. And I think we need to break it. And the new education policy today, again, allows you to do that. And so we need to leverage some of these policies in order to be able to create this technology leadership and create innovations in this industry, academia, and government partnership. We need to revisit the innovation chain, and this is something all of us in this room know, where we stand today, how much are we leveraging, what is it that we are able to do. But I believe that recently the government has come out with a ANRF fund, 10,000 crores. We need to leverage that. We need to use those R&D funds, in a way, in a collaborative way, and develop innovation. India is known for innovation, and Jan has been giving various examples of innovation coming from India, which he is taking to the world. But I think we can have a lot more potential, and we need to scale that, and we need to sustain that. And that's the key message which I want to give. And of course, sustainability has to be core for any of these developments. And we talk about clean and green tomorrow. So we need to talk about material circularity. We need to develop this circular economy. The battery, circular economy report, which is released today, I think is one step. There is an EPR regulation which is there. Of course, I have some comments on that, which is not part of this. I don't know to get into that. But we need to get into that. And it's very, very important. And we need to ensure that we establish a circular economy. We reduce the carbon footprint. We also recover rare earth. We also, as engineers, need to do sustainable product development. We need to design using recycled material, and I know that the musical instruments was a fantastic example of doing that. But auto engineers have to be ingrained in their mind how to use recycled material, how much percentage of recycling can be used. And design has to be done in such a way so that you can dismantle at the end of life. We have to have this virtuous cycle. We should be able to dismantle, and we should be able to recycle, and we should be able to recover materials. And of course, carbon neutral manufacturing is very, very key. We need to ensure CO2 footprint is reduced. We need to have more renewable in manufacturing. And I think that's a scale up which is required going forward. So a journey to a self-developed and self-reliant India by 2047 begins with all of us. There are various schemes which are available today by the government. The PLI scheme for advanced chemistry, for semiconductor mission, and so on and so forth. There's a Startup India, there's a Skill India, and I think there is no option but for the government, industry, and the startups. And that's where the technology development today is happening. And I can tell you that, legacy companies always have a challenge in technology development. They have no option but to leverage the startups to, develop new technologies. I think there's a huge, opportunity which is there. And, let's all unite. And we need to act now to shape the next, to develop India into a Viksit Bharat. So I'll leave you here with a dream. Okay, Maruti started as a dream in 1983, and we have achieved what we have achieved, I talked about. But next 20 years, what should be the dream of Viksit Bharat? I have taken the liberty of using a video which was recently released by Vodafone at the IMC Congress just about a couple of days back. It's a 5-minute video, but I have just, cut it into a very relevant piece of 1 minute. I'd like to leave you with some thoughts on that.
1947, a free India, the birth of a new dream, the beginning of a new journey. From villages to space, we made every dream real. This is India's journey, from dust to Mars, and from hope to progress. Welcome to 2047. This is the future we built. mobility is seamless, guided by AI and high-speed networks. Every vehicle connected, every journey swift, safe, dignified. A smart connected system manages every resource, enabling a clean and sustainable world for the future. Vikasit Bharat is a 100% Swachh Bharat. The India of 2047 is a green superpower. A national smart grid, driven by IoT and telecom intelligence, harnesses power from vast solar farms, desert winds, and the strength of our coastlines. Vikasit Bharat believes true progress is not built against nature, but in harmony with it. Because we dared to redefine destiny. Because we chose to stay connected with one another and to our future. Today's dreams shape tomorrow's destiny. This is our century, developed by design. Brick by brick. Bite by bite. Dream by dream. This is our India. This is Vikasit Bharat 2047. Not just a developed nation, but a nation that helps develop the world.
So thank you for your patience. I think, India is incredible, and let's dream big, and also dream to become a Viksit Bharat. And for that, the next starts now, and let's sustain and scale it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. It's always wonderful to listen to you, and that's because you put things in the right context. I would like to call on stage Shreyas to please offer you a memento of gratitude for your constant support and presence through the years. A big round of applause for inspiring all of us. That was Mr. C.V. Raman. A big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.